A very good morning to the social show. My name is Viwe Tyolwana and we are giving you the very best in CSI and CSR in South Africa. And we are coming to you from Johannesburg in the beautiful Bohemian suburb of Melville. If you want to come and say hi, we are ready with a cup of coffee maybe. Maybe it's very cold in Johannesburg today, so I would really appreciate a cup of coffee, by the way. Be socially responsible to me. But as per usual, we're going to go straight into the news. Let's go for it. In July 2017, 4 South Africans will attempt to set a new team record for the fastest time to complete the 9 summits in South Africa. The climbers have created a crowd-funding campaign to raise over 100,000 for Code for Change to bring coding to 3 schools in Gauteng and impact 350 learners with a fun, basic coding course, which while encouraging the start of a new coding clubs in these schools. Programming can be used as a preemptive tool to eradicate poverty, and it's on this foundation that Code for Change was developed to change the lives of disadvantaged students. Code for Change aims to reach 500 schools and over 300,000 learners by 2020, and this is done through an intensive 3-week coding courses and fun projects and competitions. Coding has become a universal language of this era, and in the future, not learning the skill will make navigating the working world challenging and alienate non-coders, as it will be a required skill even outside the technology industry. In other news, the Garden Route has been approved as the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. Biosphere reserves are learning places for sustainable development whose aim is to reconcile biodiversity conservation and the sustainable use of natural resources. According to the Department, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO members voted in favor of this inclusion of the Garden Route as the Biosphere Reserve at a meeting in Paris, France on Wednesday, the 14th of June. The Garden Route is one of South Africa's prime tourism regions in an area rich in terrestrial, coastal and marine ecosystems, where conservation of these rich biodiverse region is ably reconciled with sustainable use practices. And lastly, in our news, following an invite from the Minister of Women in Presidency, Susan Shabangu, the CEO Sleep Out event has been moved from the 22nd of June to the 8th of August in 2017. So it has moved from the 22nd of June to the 8th of August in 2017. And the change of date has been supported by Advocate Thuli Madonsela, Yusuf Abrahamji, and Professor Justice Yvonne Mokhogro. Hosted by the Philanthropic Collection and the CEO Sleep Out, a chapter of the CEO Sleep Out, is this year calling on female business leaders to spend a night sleeping outdoors at the union buildings. The objective of the project is to create awareness, encourage participation, and galvanize the nation to support and empower vulnerable communities. The project will also raise funds for Door of Hope, an NGO that cares for abandoned babies. The attacks on women in South Africa have been highlighted recently and have shown that the CEO Sleep Out is more important than ever. While abuse of women is a problem for both men and women, this event can become a space for women influencers to discuss change for their sisters, their mothers and their daughters, says philanthropist and co-founder of the Philanthropic Collection, Ali Gregg. It is also an emphasis as to why the work of their primary beneficiary, Door of Hope, is so necessary. And that concludes our news for the day.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
So the NDP plan aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030. And according to the plan, South Africa can realize these goals by drawing on the energies of its people, growing an inclusive economy and building capabilities, enhancing the capacity of the state and promoting leadership and partnership through society. And this is really the blueprint for the Vision 2030 summit that's happening on the 21st and the 22nd of June in Birchwood, Johannesburg. And today I am joined by Mr. Paul Malherbe, CEO of AMSCO, which is the African Management Services Company. Good day, Paul.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Great on a Monday morning.
Lovely. So let's get straight into it. AMSCO has been sort of supporting businesses and SMEs and NGOs for over 20 years. So the involvement with the Vision 2030 Summit to me seemed like a very natural relationship. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Look, AMSCO's sole purpose as an organization is to develop human capital.
Yes.
And with that being said, we, as you mentioned just now, over 20 years, actually 28 years, we've been doing this across the continent. And what we often find is that people try and do human capital development in isolated little ways and means.
Yes.
And we think that an event like the Vision 2030 is an ideal platform to get a whole bunch of role players together. Government have policy with which they want to direct the development of the economy.
Yes.
Private sector is typically the biggest uptaker of human capital.
Yes.
And what we want to do is want to catalyze, and we often play that space in the middle where we bring parties together. So I think that if you look at what Vision 2030 wants to accomplish, it really fits in with our mandate and our drive for human capital development.
Definitely. And your topic when you going to be addressing the sessions at the 2030 Summit is unlocking the potential of SMEs for radical economic transformation. How committed do you think businesses are to really realizing radical economic transformation?
I think that entrepreneurs, by virtue of their makeup, are
Yes.
guys that are, and ladies, sorry for that the neglect of half of the active population, but entrepreneurs are people that really want to see change happen. And I think that entrepreneurs are getting more and more to the realization that you run a better business
Yes.
by having better people. And it's quite simple. You know, entrepreneurs are people that go out there to do business and do business successfully. They achieve that through the people that they employ, the people they interact with, and the better team that you have, the better you can actually achieve those changes. Simple as that.
Definitely. And there's been quite a big rise in social entrepreneurship. I wonder from your perspective if the rules are the same when you're thinking of social entrepreneurs.
I think they are.
Yes.
I think social entrepreneurs often don't start out with the idea of running a business. It's something that they want to change in society, some kind of impact that they want to achieve.
Definitely.
But then ultimately, the more they get going into this, they realize that there's often a business opportunity in there and doing something sustainably. And I think that's the key to it. They may not have the same drivers like a listed company.
Yes.
They want to effect a greater change in society.
Yes.
But ultimately, social entrepreneurs also realize that if they don't run a sustainable enterprise,
Yeah.
at some stage, donors or funders, whoever's putting money into it, is going to run out of appetite to put money in there because you have to do this on a sustainable basis. So I think the mindset is very, very similar.
Yes, definitely. And I think definitely, enterprise development and human resource development is at the core of really realizing the NDP plan as well. Can you just speak to us a little bit about where do you think more work needs to be done, especially when you're looking at how to realize the NDP plan a little bit more faster, I guess?
There's only one place that you can focus on.
Yes.
And that's the youth.
Yes.
If you look at global studies and you see where Africa is going, I read a McKinsey report the other day in terms of the population. Africa's got the youngest population, and that population is set to take us, the population growth is set to take us from just over 1 billion currently to over 2 billion, 2.5 billion, I think the number is by 2050. So all of a sudden you have a huge bulge in young people coming up and getting into the mainstream workforce. And I have a fundamental problem with everybody's conversation nowadays. And I may be a little bit provocative. Everybody talks about youth education. You know what? Let's park the youth education discussion for a moment and talk about youth entrepreneurship.
Yes.
If you think that by educating people to go out there and getting a formal job, that you're solving an employment and a job creation crisis that Africa is facing and South Africa, you're delusional, to be quite frank. What you have to do is you need to teach young people that spend a lot of their time on cell phones and other electronic means to get into the habit of trying and finding and looking for innovative ways and to keep themselves alive beyond finding a job. So yes, youth education is important, but to me, it's a small subset of youth entrepreneurship.
Well,
and if you want to solve the problem of the world, that's where you need to look at.
definitely. And I'm now just wondering, which companies have you recently been working with that have sort of used these sort of tools that this training that you give to really exercise that and make sure that people think more innovatively and also people are skilled?
Look, we operate, as I said, across Africa in about 20 plus countries. So we have a broad range, not only of commercial enterprises that we deal with, but also development agencies.
Yes.
African Development Bank, for example, and the World Bank, and many of the European development finance institutions that are putting money into Africa for development, and they use the term aid for trade. And these are the guys that actually say, well, let's put money in and get something sustainable out of the continent. So we train at government level, we train at public sector level, private sector, and at the multinationals that work with these international agencies.
Definitely. Lastly, what do you think people can take away from Vision 2030? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be 2 days. What is it that they're going to get away from your session? And what do you think the networking is going to really start showing? Because we're trying to track how far we are within realizing the plan.
Look, I think it's quite simple. There are two things. The first one is if you show up, bring your mind.
Yes.
And be open to what is being discussed and how you can do it. And what you want to take away from it is simply take your hands out of your pockets.
Yes.
You know, if you wait for something to turn up, first of all, start with rolling up your sleeves and get going. We should get away from this thing that people think you attend a session and somebody else is going to change your life, or that's going to change the business that you're in or the opportunities for you.
Agreed.
People are there and businesses are there and development agents are there to create opportunities. But guess what? If the opportunity sits on your desk and you've got an idea in your mind of what some opportunity that you can capitalize on, nobody else is going to make it for you. So whether you're a company, a corporate, an SME, an individual, whoever attending, listen to what's going out in the market, do your homework, and then you know what? Roll up your sleeve and get going.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Paul.
My absolute pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great stuff. All right. Okay, bye.
And that was Paul Malherbe, CEO of AMSCO, speaking so passionately about getting to the work. And I think it's very important. Remember, the Vision 2030 Summit will really look at 3 main objectives this year, which is to make the NDP plan accessible to South Africans through their publication. Also by bringing public and private sector stakeholders together in partnership to expedite realization of the NDP's goals through the summit. And also it will stimulate greater private sector participation by showcasing organizations making strides in the name of the NDP plan. And I think definitely the African Management Services Company is also really right there at making sure that we visualize and we identify where the investment needs to go and where it needs to be. And he did speak about skills development. He spoke about the youth, how important it is to really equip the youth with the necessary skills, how important it is to invest in human resource development, in enterprise development, and all these things come together to really realize the NDP plan. I think it's so important that we know the kind of language we need to be speaking and the kind of idea process and thoughts we need to have when we are approaching the summit. Again, it's going to be happening from the 21st to the 22nd of June at the Bushwood in Johannesburg, and you don't want to miss out. Get your tickets. It's literally a day away. I am so excited. I'm going to be there. Social TV is going to be there. So if you want to find out a little bit more about the speakers, a little bit about the sessions, a little bit more about the people that you can engage with, please don't be afraid to go to our website, which is www.social-tv.co.za, or you go to Social One TV on our Twitter page, and you can ask us questions when we're there. We'll try our best to get the right people talking and the right people talking to you, because what we're doing is making sure that you get that access into, the summit. Unfortunately, it's not one that happens everywhere. So we'll try and make sure that you get the information exclusively from Social TV. But more than that, you really start to engage with the NDP plan. What is the NDP plan? How many people actually know? I was having this conversation yesterday with a few of my friends, and I was saying, I think very few people know exactly what it means to be part of the NDP plan, what it's for, what it means, what are we trying to do, when did it start, how far are we? These are the questions that will be answered at the Vision 2030 Summit. So you really don't want to miss out. We want to eliminate poverty. And we want to reduce inequality. And according to this plan, again, we can really do this if we make sure that we have the right partnerships, the right leadership, the right governance, right? I was speaking to, I just forgot his name, but he was saying, the CEO of basically Vision 2030, and he was saying that the most important thing is that kind of networking and that people speaking to the right people. I know that government officials, really high up government officials, have been given a free pass into the Vision 2030 so that they can come and learn and they can come and see where they're doing good and where they're doing wrong. And I think that's fair. That's enough. That's exactly what needs to happen. We need to keep checking ourselves. And I think that's what the summit is for. Let's check where we are. Let's check what we're doing. Let's make sure we're doing the right thing. Let's make sure we're doing making a really global impact as to how Africa realizes or grows its economy, how Africa engages with other countries, how Africa is in par with other global houses, and that's where we need to start speaking. And I think he was also right when Mr. Malherbe, when he spoke about yes, the youth is important. We need to educate our youth, but we also really need to gift them with skills and gift them with some sort of training so that they can work and get their hands in it. In fact, I was at another conference a while ago, and they spoke about how important TVET colleges are, as opposed to this sort of societal notion that all kids after high school should go to university. University is great. However, it is an intellectual space, an academic space. It doesn't always engage you from a really practical space. And that's what we need. We need practical workers. We need people who know how to, not people who understand the ideology. So we need sort of a combination of both academic and as well as practical thinkers. And I think that's what also, Mr. Malherbe was talking about, that yes, education is important. Yes, academia is important. Yes, it's important that we get our youth educated, but it's also important that we skill them. We skill them so that they can be entrepreneurs, so that they can be social entrepreneurs, so that they can be innovators. They can think outside the box, because once you have the skill, you're able to figure it out and able to understand it a little bit better. And that, for me, makes so much sense. It's going to be a great, great summit. I am so excited to find out what it is that, industry players are doing, what it is that our leaders are doing, what it is that South Africa is going to do to realize their NDP plans. I think it's very important. Also, remember, there's the award ceremony also happening, I think, on the Thursday, which is the 22nd of June. And that should be also exciting, just to see the people getting rewarded and getting the recognition for the kind of work that they're doing to make South Africa better, to make our country better. And that's what we need to do. And that concludes my show for the day. If you guys have any questions, please, again, you can go to www.social-tv.co.za, or you could actually email us on press@social-tv.co.za. If you need more information about Vision 2030, I'm sure you can just Google Vision 2030 Summit and you will find out everything you need to find out. However, we will always have the information for you as well. Also, if you have any questions, please don't forget to find us at Social One TV on Twitter, and we can have this conversation all day long. Actually, I am open to engaging everybody on why they need to be at the Vision 2030 Summit happening at Birchwood in Johannesburg. That is me, Viwe, signing off. You will hear from me again tomorrow morning. Be awake. Goodbye.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.